a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And we're blessed and highly favored here in studio, as always. Looking forward to a great show today. We got Mark Haye in the house, 21st Century Financial. Going to talk about QLACs. QLACs, he's going to explain what those are. Attorney Frank Miranda coming on as well, real estate attorney and a wealth of knowledge in all things real estate, also a litigator. He will take people to court and do his business in the courtroom. More coming up here on the show. I want to remind you as well, for all of our listening audience, we like to invite our audience to our events. It's something we started doing this year and had a lot of people take us up on it. So come on out on Thursday. It's going to be over at Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall, which is right there at the top of West Shore, 2223 North West Shore Boulevard. Come on out and join us for our networking party, gratitude party, where we give thanks. We say thanks to all of our show partners, our radio show contributors, real estate team, and other friends of the program. Come on out and join us 6 o'clock over at Brio Tuscan Grill, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brio Tuscan Grill, excellent food, wonderful ambiance. And we're going to have all of our friends there, so you can come on out and make some new friends, do some networking. We're going to have food provided, appetizers, great food provided. Also, the first 20 to arrive get a drink coupon as well. Compliments of Joe Duffin, First American Home Warranty. So come on out and join us. It will be a great time, and we hope to see you there. Also, a quick shout out to our friends at Solar Bear. If you're thinking about solar, adding solar onto your home, highly recommend Solar Bear. They do a great job. They've got a great team. They're a growing company, multiple ways that they can help you saving money when it comes to your photovoltaic. Talk to Solar Bear, the official sponsor for solar, all things solar in Tampa Bay. Solar Bear. Check them out online. I believe it's solarbear.com. You can find them online or reach out to the show. We'd love to connect with you as well. 727-263-3707. Call or text the hotline, 727-263-3707. It's all about the local economy here, supporting the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our 80 different categories of consumer advocates, 40 different show partners, ranging from technology, self-defense, attorneys, CPAs, financial advice from Mark Haye coming up here in just a minute. And before we do, a couple of hot listings. We always like to feature our real estate properties live on air. It's a strategy that helps us sell faster for more money. We got a new listing in Ocala. This one's at 4931 Northeast 22nd Terrace. This is in Ocala, Florida. Beautiful, the Ocala Forest. You have that forest up there. Beautiful, beautiful area. A beautiful part of the country and the state. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2,000 square foot home situated on highly sought after neighborhood with no HOA. 4931 Northeast 22nd Terrace in Ocala. The kitchen is a chef's delight with plenty of cabinets for storage. Got a fireplace in there. Beautiful home, lighter color cabinetry in the kitchen. Great opportunity. You have a garage that's also a standout with lots of storage there with cabinets as well. Check out 4931 Northeast 22nd Terrace in Ocala, Florida. One of our hot listings from the Platinum MVP team. All right, bringing you back over here to Pasco County. Let's go to 6101 Bayside Drive, Newport Richey. One of my favorite listings here. You got a waterfront dock. Bring your boat, bring your jet skis to 6101 Bayside Drive, Newport Richey, Florida. 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3852 square feet, quarter-acre lot with lush palm trees. Great opportunity to own waterfront property here in Tampa Bay. Direct access to the Gulf of Mexico, world-class fishing, diving, water sports, and also just hang out at the islands out there. It's a lot of fun, too. We're part of Freedom Boat Club, so we like to go out and hit those islands up sometimes. 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3852 square feet at 6101 Bayside Drive, Newport Richey. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got Mark Haye in the house. Mark, what is a QLAC?
Hey, good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great, man.
I'm doing all right, too. Well, we've been talking a lot about qualified plans, 401ks, IRAs, self-directed, and one of the biggest things that we talk about is spending the money in retirement. You know, if you never learn how to cash flow, never learn how to take income from assets, you know, that's one of the biggest things we talk about. And so QLAC is just a qualified longevity annuity contract. We use it part of our tax planning for people. Because people don't realize your 401k or IRA, the government is going to make you spend that money. So when you get into retirement, it's called required minimum distribution.
Got it.
And they make you spend your money, and they make you spend more and more of it every single year because the government's been waiting. They want their money. And so when you get to retirement, even if you don't want to spend it, they're going to force you to spend it in required minimum distribution. So a lot of times people will get to retirement and we talk about how they don't want to spend it because they don't want to run out of money. They don't want to pay the taxes. They want to pass it to their kids. And so a lot of those factors come into it. And so what we talk about is QLAC is using that for longevity, delaying required minimum distribution, long-term care planning, et cetera. So let me just kind of talk a little about what it is, okay? So you can take $200,000 a year, total from your IRA 401k, and you can put it into what's called a QLAC, and that pushes out that required minimum distribution until 85. Okay? Right now, the government is forcing you to start spending your money at 72. Okay? But we could take $200,000 and push it out to 85. That's the latest we can go. You can go sooner, but you just can't go past it. Okay? And so what QLAC does is it delays that. It guarantees your money. It's safe. It's locked in, with insurance companies been around for 200 plus years. Okay? And they give you a guaranteed future income, like a pension. So when you trigger that, it's going to trigger the income forever. So a lot of times people are worried about running out of money, longevity, running out of money, the market fluctuation. This is one option we use for longevity, okay? Because we can peel off up to $200,000. You can do anything less, and we push it out to 85, and that's going to trigger income. And let's say it gives you $80,000 a year of income at 85. Well, that income goes forever. So you're going to get $80,000 a year until the day you die. It could be 120, and you're going to keep getting it. So it solves the longevity problem. We also will layer it. So you don't have to take $200,000 and just push it out to 85. You could say, I want to take $50,000 and start it at 70. I want to take $50,000, start at 75, 80, and 85. You get my point. You can layer it, and then every 5 years you're getting an increase of pay. Okay? And you're layering pension, basically, your future income. Okay? And then we also use it for long-term care planning. So people may or may not have experienced a long-term care situation with their family, spouse, etc. yet, but you will, believe me. I deal with it all the time with family and clients, etc. And a long-term care situation is very, very expensive, first of all, and it's very taxing on family members because they're the ones that are ultimately going to be taking care of them, whether it's a spouse, kids, etc.
Yeah.
And so long-term care policies are very hard to get because, first of all, there's only like 8 companies left in the entire planet that even offer long-term care policies because they can't price it right. They're losing too much money, and so they're out of the game.
The rising cost.
You got it. Yep. And to get approved for long-term care policy is next to zero because they don't really want anybody to get approved. You got to be like in perfect health to get that, okay? And if you get approved, they're very, very expensive premiums. They're use it or lose it type situation where if you never use it, you lose your premiums like car insurance. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You just lose that. So what we do is we use QLAC for long-term care planning. So instead of going and buy a policy that will pay you out 50 or 80 or 100,000 a year, we'll utilize a QLAC. And we'll say, look, you don't even want to spend this money. You're afraid of longevity. You're afraid of all these different things. So let's utilize QLAC. We'll put $200,000 in QLAC. We'll start the income at 85, and let's say it gives you, again, another $80,000 a year. We also then take your Social Security, which you cannot pass to anybody anyways. When you die, the Social Security dies with you. And let's say it's 30,000 a year. So now we have $110,000 a year that we can spend for your care, okay? And if your spouse has an IRA or 401k, she could do the same thing. She could put $200,000 into a QLAC. She can have her Social Security, pay for long-term care. You have $110,000 apiece. That way, you're not paying for premiums. You're keeping your money. You're solving longevity. You're solving long-term care issues, and you're using a small portion of that portfolio.
Yeah.
A lot of people that look at QLAC are people that have an extensive portfolio with real estate, cash value, IRAs, annuities. They have different things going. Maybe a business, and they don't need all this money. And so taking $200,000 of that portfolio and pushing out to 85, say this is what I'm going to use for my long-term care plan or my longevity plan or whatever.
Yeah.
It fits perfect because, again, it's such a small portion of somebody's estate to accomplish a problem that is going to arrive, either long-term care or longevity. One of the two is going to happen. Right. You know what I mean? Hopefully you live to be 100, 110 and die in your sleep.
Yeah.
You don't need care. Or you're probably going to need care. Well, if you have Alzheimer's, sometimes that can be 10, 12 years in a home, unfortunately. Well, that QLAC, that income goes forever. So you could be in a home for 10, 15, 20 years, and the QLAC's going to keep paying that.
Yeah.
Much like the Social Security.
Seems like it checks a lot of boxes for people. You're providing that security. You have, it's part of a plan. So this is part of an overall plan, not its plan on its own.
Yeah, this is overall plan. This is getting into a extensive planning. Okay, because most people can't entertain QLAC because honestly, as we know, we looked at the research here. There's only 1% of the people in a 401k that can live off 401k comfortably and not run out of money. 99% of the time it crashes and burns. So when we get into the QLAC, these are people that, again, have done really good planning, have assets, maybe have this qualified monies that they don't need. Now the government's making them spend it. Well, I can't take this much income. I'm going to go up a tax bracket. And so then we lower the tax bracket by taking that off the table.
Yeah.
That lowers the required minimum distribution they have to take from 72 to 85. And now their tax bracket can come back down.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Save the money for later, solve the longevity, solve long-term care, solve inflation. People are concerned about inflation. Okay, we'll layer the QLAC, every 5 years, 3 years, whatever you want to do, and you start getting that income and pay increases to keep up with inflation. And it's, again, using a small portion. You don't have to use $200,000. You could use $20,000. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
You just can't go over that $200,000.
Yeah, because there's a lot of concerns. I think if a lot of people are looking at Social Security going away, what's going to happen there, the insolvency question, the dollar, the U.S. dollar, the BRICS, the competition now that's arising from the BRICS nations coming together. It's kind of interesting when you think about the dollar. It seems like we are still, okay, we're in a good position as far as it goes. But if they continue to print money, what's going to happen to the American dollar?
I don't know. And we're going into a very serious time, this year, the last 6 months of the year, and we all know what's going to be happening in November.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I agree with you. I think there's a lot happening. I saw that the House just passed, the draft, automatic draft now for kids 18 to 26.
For the girls too?
No, I don't think it's for the girls there,
okay.
But maybe. I didn't look into it, so maybe it is. But
because I know somebody had proposed that. It's like, wow, they're getting desperate, asking for women to come serve.
Well, my concern is why do we need a draft?
Right.
If we're not going to be in war, why are we initiating
peace through strength?
Right. Why are we doing a draft?
It's suddenly passed. Why is it?
So all of a sudden it's passed, and it's like not really being talked about, which is kind of interesting. So if I had a son that was 18, I don't, but 18 to 26, I don't know. I'd be a little worried right now.
Right.
I think that voting right this November is going to be very imperative. I don't care about feelings or what people think about an individual, but if you want to have a draft and you want your 18-year-olds to have to enlist in the Army or whatever and go to war, by all means, vote for that person. But if you don't want that, that's a serious issue that needs to be addressed and actually talked about.
Here's some big news. No tax on tips. So now every time you eat out, you write on your receipt, no tax on tips. And that's something that President Trump has talked about.
Yeah, and he talked about getting rid of the federal income tax too. Now, I'm a big fan, obviously, of lowering taxes. We talk about it all the time.
Tax enough already, man.
Yeah, but here's all the things you can do to lower your taxes legally, and effectively. But if he can eliminate the federal income tax and put tariffs on all these foreigners, not foreigners, but foreign companies, etc.
Yep.
I mean, that's a huge savings, and you're going to see the economy just explode.
Yeah.
Because now everybody's going to have more money in their pocket, which means what are they going to do? They're going to spend it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so now they're going to go and buy things and vehicles and cars and homes and businesses are going to be able to hire more people now, because now instead of paying the government 20, 30, 40%, whatever that may be, we're going to now be able to hire people because we're saving that. And so it just goes into, again, just vote for the person that you see fit, people get so caught up with the media.
The thing that's really unique about this election cycle is if you look at the 4 years under Trump and all of the vibrancy, the no wars, the peace treaty signed in the Middle East, the booming economy, improved job status and wages for blacks, Latinos, and the blue collar worker in general. And then you compare that versus now with open borders, with crime, with, every single day you hear about an illegal committing a murder or a rape of our young children, the fentanyl, the drugs, and on and on and on. I don't want to go into the negative spin here because we can easily do that. But, it should be an easy, real simple, easy comparison there about a booming economy, America first, versus what we have now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think American first should be, I don't know why that's not like the mantra.
Exactly.
Like, why are we not taking care of us first? There's no reason for us to send monies over to take care of somebody else's border and have our border wide open.
Exactly.
I mean, what sense does that make?
Yeah.
Why is it important to lock their border down but not our border? At the same time, like you said, with safety and fentanyl and drugs and people coming in that are undocumented that we have no idea who they are, where they're going, or where they're at. It's tough. For any. I don't know if I'm not raising kids, but if I was, I would get really serious about this election.
Exactly. You have to. So speaking of good news, we got our feel-good story coming up here. Really cool story coming out of Gainesville Police Department. Heartwarming news. Someone called the cops complaining on kids. Interesting story coming up here. We're going to talk about that in our feel-good story. More with Mark Haye as well on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Mark Haye, 21st Century Financial. Reach out if you'd like to talk to Mark, have a sit-down with him, or even a review of your financial plan. All you have to do is reach out to the show. We'd love to connect with you. All online at consumerqb.com. Taking a quick break there. Coming back more with Mark Haye, feel-good story of the day, and attorney Frank Miranda later on in the second half as well. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you follow us online. We'd love to connect with you. Do us a huge favor. Just pull out your smartphone, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell. That way, whenever we release new videos, you'll be able to get them on YouTube and Rumble. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, cool cats. Summer's definitely started here in Florida. The only question is, are you hot or are you too hot? Here at Pool & Coolin', our goal is to keep you cool. We do AC repairs, full system replacements, and whatever else it takes to provide you with superior service. With over 150 years of experience, our technicians are fast, honest, and dependable. Pool & Coolin', we'll keep you cool. Call now, 855-955-COOL. That's 855-955-COOL.
Lindsay Rhymes here with Archer Place in Gainesville, Florida. Our luxury condo community is located only 1.5 miles from the University of Florida, 5 minutes to Shands Medical and Butler Plaza. Our buyers love the high-end luxury amenities in their building, including a state-of-the-art fitness facility equipped with Pelotons, the resort-style temperature-controlled pool accompanied with cabanas and grills, and the gourmet chef's kitchen in our clubhouse that overlooks the pool. We have pre-construction pricing only for a limited time, with floor plans ranging from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath to 2-floor penthouses with plunge pools. Starting in the low 400,000s to the high 900s, investors, parents sending their young adults off to school, medical professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs alike are investing in these residences. Reach out to us today at 727-263-3707 to get more information.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here for Heights Soft Wash, pressure washing company here in Tampa Bay. Reach out to Ramin and his team. They do a great job for all of your pressure washing needs, residential, commercial. HeightsSoftWash.com. HeightsSoftWash.com. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, one more hot listing here for this segment. Then we're going to get into the conversation with Mark Haye, financial advising expert contributor on the Consumer Quarterback Show, talking about the QLAC and a real-life example on how this program works. 18522 Gulf Boulevard right here in beautiful Pinellas County, Tampa Bay. We've got a beachfront condo for sale, $1 million listing right here on the beach, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square foot beachfront condo in Indian Shores. You got a private 2-car parking area, upgraded throughout the home. It's got granite countertops, mosaic backsplash, and high-quality cabinetry. And the best part is you walk past your heated pool, and you're on the sugar sand beaches and dolphin-filled waters of the Gulf of Mexico, Indian Shores, 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores, Florida. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. Check out PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. All right, we got Mark Haye in the house, 21st Century Financial. Mark, we were talking about the QLAC program, and you were going to give us a real-life example of how this works.
Yeah, so I have a couple in their late 60s. He was a fireman, she was a teacher, okay? So they each have pensions, and they each have their Social Security. Then they each had their 403B and 457, which is much like a 401k. It's just for teachers and officers and firemen. So their concern was, we have a long-term care event, it's going to decimate our income and our portfolio. We want to leave stuff to our kids. We're not going to be able to qualify for long-term care. We know that because of health reasons. And we're worried about, taking this money out because we're already paying a lot in taxes. We got these pensions and Social Security, and now we're going to add requirement of distribution. It's like we just need help. What are we going to do? So I went through the QLAC with him. I said, look, if we just do this QLAC, $200,000 a piece, for each of you, that's $400,000 we could take off the table for your requirement of distribution, which is huge. If you had 5% of $400,000, which is how you're going to start on your requirement of distribution, that's $20,000 of income a year that we just eliminated from their taxable, income.
Right.
And then we push that out. Well, each of them going to get $85,000 a year at 85. So they each get $85,000 a year starting at 85. So what does it do? It solves the longevity, problem between the two of them that they were talking about. Like one of us, what if one of us lives to 100? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because their pensions are single life, which just means when they die, the pension dies with them.
Okay.
Well, now when that one passes, they lose a pension, but they pick up that QLAC. You know what I mean? So now they replace that pension with basically a pension.
Got it.
And then they say, okay, great, now we have this money, and now we can go into any kind of nursing home, in-home care, whatever, and all we're doing is taking cash that was sitting in a retirement account that really wasn't invested or underperforming, put it in the QLAC, and now we have a long-term care plan. I mean, these people are extremely happy because it solves all their problems without having to go buy a policy, worry about long-term care, burden their kids. Now they can leave the whole portfolio to the kids, knowing that they earmark this for longevity, long-term care, etc., while lowering their taxes because they don't have to take out the RMDs now on this stuff, so they can just delay that till 85. So it does a lot of good things for a lot of people. Now, it's not for everybody. It takes, extensive planning to get to the QLAC, but if you are in a position where someone can actually talk to you about QLAC, you've done a really good job. You know what I mean? Like, you should be commended to even have someone approach you to say, you should look at QLAC. They're not trying to sell you. It's just, you've done a really good job, and this could help you, for in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're in that position to even have that conversation says something, because most people need every dollar they can get in retirement. They can't afford to defer anymore. They need to take it.
Right.
So if anybody ever approaches you on QLAC and says, you really should look at QLAC, you're not selling anything. It's just you in a position that you put yourself in where you should be commended that you can even entertain something like QLAC.
Yeah, financially responsible for all these years. You paid off your mortgage probably at this time, right? You got a mortgage that's paid off, so you look at that and then you think about that. What's your thoughts around, because sometimes when I see a paid off mortgage, there's advice out there around these reverse mortgages. I know those have a kind of a negative connotation around them.
Yeah, I mean, a reverse mortgage is no different than, like, let's say you went to a line of credit on your home and then invested that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. It's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, a reverse mortgage is not a bad thing. You do get it, tax-free to you. And it is income. You're just using your house that is just sitting there with all this value that you're not doing it. You might as well enjoy life. If it gives you more income and you're allowed to spend it and go, vacation and enjoy the later years of your life, then do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some people are so negative about it because I think there was a rash of issues that happened in the late 90s where advisors would say, yeah, pull this equity out, give it to us, we'll invest it. They would lose the money, something like that. That's the real quick story because we have like 1 minute left.
Yeah.
Mark, I want to shift gears and just have you talk about, the reviews that you've done for some of our audience, the phone calls you've gotten for our audience, or received from our audience, and how you can help people.
Yeah. I mean, we've been really busy the last few weeks. I guess we've been killing it as far as, what we're talking about. But we've been really, really busy. Again, taking advantage of the tax code, taking advantage of real estate, taking advantage of different products like what we just talked about today, and just looking at your overall portfolio. I don't need a whole lot of time. If you give me 5-10 minutes to just say, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's what we're trying to accomplish.
Yep.
Literally, we could put together something to say, yeah, I would do this, and that, take advantage of this code. A lot of times people don't take advantage of it or even have the right proper setup to just protect your assets.
Right. Online at
xxifinancial.com, or you can text me 727-804-7220.
All right, good stuff. Mark Haye in the house, 21st Century Financial. Reach out to the show hotline. We'll put you in touch with him. The show hotline runs through the break, so you'll have the number there. ConsumerQB.com. Coming up, attorney Frank Miranda in the house, real estate expert, contributor on the show, as well as our feel-good story of the day. Find out about what happened when the police were called in Gainesville department. We had a noise complaint called. Feel good story coming up. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback.
And we're back here in studio. We got attorney Frank Miranda in studio with us. He is a local litigator. He owns a title company as well as a sports agency, NFL sports agency as well, For Life Management. We're going to catch up with him about a recent trial as well, kind of some of the lessons learned in that trial as well. Coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Quick shout out to our friends over at Replenish IV Solutions, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. I love going down there to their Gandy location. They got multiple Bay Area locations. I like going down to Gandy location and getting the vitamin infusion drip directly into my bloodstream. ReplenishIVSolutions.com. Make sure you let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. ReplenishIVSolutions.com. All right, we got some great listings here. We got a property on Fiesta right here in Tampa Bay. It's 1922 Fiesta Ridge Court. We just listed this property about a week ago. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1,300 square foot townhouse. You have a Brighton open floor plan. Las Palmas townhomes in Tampa. It's a gated community as well, so you have that privacy there. You have bedrooms that are situated up on the second level and close to Tampa International Airport, close to Hyde Park as well. 1922 Fiesta Ridge Court in Tampa. A great opportunity to own real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. We also have a listing at 605 Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. 605 Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. We just did a price improvement. The owners dropped the price. We're looking to get the property sold, looking for an offer here on Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. This one is a great home, beautiful home. It's on a cul-de-sac, and you have a pool with a private deck, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,163 square feet, non-flood zone, non-evacuation zone right here in Tampa Bay. See all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we got our friend attorney Frank Miranda back in studio. Welcome in, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me again, Brandon. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And a lot to cover here. I wanted to get into, let's start with the recent trial. Congratulations on another successful trial there. But what kind of lessons did you take from that? You can share with us.
Well, thank you for the congratulations. Effectively, the case involved the fact pattern where Party A was in contract with a seller, had a lease option to purchase. During the lease option, the seller just turned around and sold to somebody else. And once you're under contract, you have certain rights. And so we filed suit for what's called specific performance.
Yeah.
And, fortunately for us, the facts laid out that we were not in breach of any lease agreement, which would, in effect, eliminate the ability to purchase it. And since once that was determined, we have a right to purchase it. Now, it's also helpful that the person that ultimately bought this property from underneath us was aware we had a right, knew we had a right, and didn't care. And so, based upon those facts, and when you apply those facts to the law, it was clear we should have won, and we did win.
Wow.
And so it's nice that my client gets the property they negotiated for. And it's kind of nice that the person that really tried to swindle it from us, that justice was done.
Yeah. Now, a couple of questions. So when that contract was, they essentially said, hey, this was a ratified contract. You had the right to purchase. What were monies exchanged hands with those other two parties?
Yes.
So then how did that unravel?
And the motive is the seller sold it for some more money.
A little bit more money, yeah.
They sold it for more money, but it still doesn't work that way. You still,
Right.
Once you have an agreement with somebody, you just can't walk away and cut a better deal with somebody else.
Yeah.
The law doesn't protect those people.
Yeah.
The law particularly doesn't protect the ultimate buyer if they knew about the deal.
Got it.
And in this case, they knew about the deal, and it was proven they knew about the deal. And the way it shook out also was the day the seller sent an email to my client saying, hey, we think you're in breach of the lease. The same day, maybe minutes later, they closed on the other deal.
Wow.
And so you have a right to defend against an allegation that you're in breach of a lease.
Yeah.
You have a right to defend the allegation that you lost the right to purchase the property. And they forgot about that, and they just did the deal thinking that it would slide through.
Huh.
Now, I would venture to say that a lot of people, and I've had this happen before, will call my office and talk to me about a similar scenario. But when you explain to them the process, they don't want to go through it, and they say, forget it.
Right.
And so, it's up to the individual. Not everyone's cut for litigation. Not everybody wants to stick up for their rights. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, there's, people like myself that will fight for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Frank Miranda, attorney here in Tampa Bay, Frank Charles Miranda Law Firm, FCMLaw.com. And Frank, were there any damages or any kind of ramifications for that seller trying to pull a fast one?
Yeah, so the seller kind of just left, never showed up for trial, just got a judgment against him. What actually happens now is the person that bought the property steps into the shoes of the ultimate seller, the first seller. And so we pay them what we would have agreed to pay the buyer, and they deed us the property. Now, they're stuck with the loss, the difference of what they paid, but they're going to recoup the majority of what they spent.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
And then they can chase the ultimate seller for any damages, but that ultimate seller, I think, is long gone.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times when you have that situation, and just generally speaking here, when you have that situation where somebody's done you wrong and you get upset and you go after them and you say, I'm going to sue this person, right? There's more to that conversation and there's more to that decision, right? Because you get into the idea and the mindset of throwing good money after bad money. I'm sure you've seen that.
I have that conversation all the time. And so if I don't think I can prove the case from the onset, I don't take it. Yeah. If I don't think I can collect money, if they need money, I don't take it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're just going to have a frustrated client. Doesn't do good for you. Doesn't do good for anybody. I don't believe in spending $20,000 trying to recoup 10.
Right.
I think there's a lot of law firms out there that, regardless of the price, they don't care. They're going to collect their fee.
As long as they're getting billable fees.
Right. And so, you got to have real hard discussions with whatever you're considering retaining as to what the expenses could be. What's the probability, not the possibility, what's the probability of recovering any money?
Yeah.
In this case, we didn't care about the money. We wanted to pay the amount we agreed to, but we wanted the land.
Got it.
The land was critical to my client.
Yeah.
And so, depending on what your remedy, what you're looking for, like in this case, you're looking for land, you need that piece of land.
Right.
We're going forward.
Yeah.
If there's a possibility or probability where you're not going to collect for a variety of reasons, and I can tell you, it's not as easy as you think to collect money from a debtor.
Right.
If they don't have assets or money in their own name and it's commingled with other people, it gets complicated. If their money is in their primary residence, you can't get it because of our Constitution protects us. And there's reasons behind that, and some legitimate reasons behind that.
Yep.
But, in this state, there's a lot of debtors that flee to this state. They get all their money and they buy the biggest house they can and they try to preserve their asset.
Right.
So there are some exempt assets and some exempt assets in every state.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if somebody has, a ton of money in their 401k, can't touch it. It's a qualified retirement account. So it's not as easy to really collect if you have a debt against somebody.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that play out in real life here many times. We're talking with attorney Frank Miranda here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. We talk a lot about supporting the local economy here, being a consumer advocate for you, helping you understand your buying decisions. And Frank, you help people understand their legal decisions, their legal situations. Talk to me about landlord-tenant disputes. Have you seen any interesting cases lately, or maybe what kind of comes to mind when you think about landlord-tenant?
I think there's a lot of misconception about it. The tenant, if you're really in breach, they don't have rights. There's no such thing as squatter rights. Procedurally, if you do the procedures which are in place in Florida, you get 5 days notice. Once you give them a notice of default, 5 days after, you can, if they don't pay you, you can file a lawsuit, get them out. They have 5 days to file a response. They're going to get an order automatically from the court saying any funds that are not in dispute, you have to pay into the registry of the court. If you don't make that payment by the date provided by the court, you waive all defenses and you're going to get the property back. And so it's not quite as what perhaps some media outlets would claim they are, that all these squatters have rights. They don't. Not in this state.
Right, not in this state. I think in New York it's different, right?
It could be different in every state. Yeah. I'm just worried about my hometown.
There
right?
you go.
So, I don't know. I can't speak for other states.
Yeah.
I could say here, can they frustrate the process? They certainly can. They could file some sort of defense. They could file for bankruptcy. That's going to slow the process down.
Yep.
But ultimately, you're going to prevail.
Yeah. And that also comes into play when you're talking about a seller that's wanting to sell, and he says, hey, I'll hold paper. I'm okay doing a seller-held mortgage. Talk to me about those scenarios that you've seen and how to be careful, how to be cautious, and maybe what type of loan-to-value to even consider it at, because you wouldn't want to do a loan to a seller-held situation where you're only getting like 5% down, would you? You'd want at least 20% down, roughly.
Right. And so to explain that to everyone, if you want to sell your property, and I want to make up round numbers, it's worth $500,000, and a buyer comes to you and says, hey, I have, let's say I have $100,000, but I can't get a mortgage, and you say, you know what? I'll be the bank for the other $400,000 or whatever's left over.
Yep.
So you put down the $100,000, I keep it. I will give you a note and mortgage for $400,000. I'll be in first position.
Yeah.
So that means I am the first person that has a lien against that property is myself. So that means if you don't pay me, I get to foreclose you out. I take the property back over in theory, and then I get to resell it again. Okay. And I say in theory because other people can outbid you at a foreclosure sale. But that's okay, because if they outbid you, you're still going to get paid back your $400,000.
Got it.
All right, so you're still made whole, plus your attorney's fees. So you get to tack that onto your judgment. So for some people, the analysis is this: if I get to be the bank, then instead of me putting money in a CD, which today I think is a little bit higher, it's probably around 5%. I've seen it. I get to charge someone interest at 7.5%, 8% because I'm taking more of a risk. And they're going to put enough money down that I don't mind having to take it over, then I might come out with a lot more money than I ever would before. We're just collecting all the $500,000 up front.
Right.
And so now you're making 8% on that $400,000, and it's up to you for how long you want to do it for.
Yep.
So if you want to do it only for 5 years, then you make the note balloon in 5 years, the entire debt's owed at that point in time, whatever the remaining balance is.
Yep.
If you want to collect interest-only payments, and then at the end of 3 years, you make the whole original principal due, you can do that too. You get to make the rules. And so if you look at it as a business transaction and how you can get the most money out of it, it's not a bad play.
Right.
But you got to have the mentality for it. Some buyers just don't want to do any risk. They don't want to go through any potential litigation. Just give me my money and I'm done. A lot of those clientele are older in age. They don't want to mess with it. That's fine too.
Right.
On the flip side, there's some people older in age say, that's a great passive revenue for me.
Exactly.
And so every month I can get a check, and I'm happy if the guy doesn't pay me, I can foreclose and sell the property again, probably for more than $500,000 because cost of property's gone up.
Right. Yep, and I've heard that exact thing play out a couple of times where someone has sold, the guy didn't perform, took it back.
Yeah, and we've done it.
Again.
I mean, so we've represented sellers that have done that, and we've actually, we draft the paperwork, we draft the note, we draft the mortgage, we make sure it's all filed correctly. We make sure you're the first person in line for a lien, so no one can jump in front of you. So in theory, what could happen is this. You do that, you have the first mortgage, they go out, get a second mortgage, or they get some judgments against them. If you have to foreclose, you wipe everyone else out. So you don't have to pay anyone else's debt. That's why being first is very important. So you wipe everyone out behind you.
Yep.
And so, once all that's explained and as a person doing the deal, financing the deal, the only thing you really have to make sure of is to pay the property taxes.
Right.
Because the only thing that beats you at that point in time is if they don't pay their property taxes for 2 years and they have a tax sale, that wipes you out.
Got it.
And so as long as you keep watching if they're paying their property taxes, you're good.
Got it.
If they don't, that's a reason for you to foreclose, because the mortgage says if you don't pay your property taxes, that's a reason to foreclose.
Right. Yeah. And then insurance too. I'm making sure they have insurance if there's a dwelling on there.
Correct.
Some type of a improved structure. All right, we're going to take a quick break there. More with attorney Frank Miranda here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to talk about our feel-good story as well, feel-good story of the day. This was a good one. You got a police department, Gainesville Police Department gets a call about a complaint. They get a complaint on a call and find out what happens next here coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show. More with attorney Frank Miranda on the flip side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Lindsay Rhymes here. My husband Brandon and I own the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. and our team of seasoned agents is ready to help you buy, sell, invest, and love the life you live here in Tampa Bay. Communication, execution, customer service, and bulletproofing transactions are really where our team shines. We service Hillsborough, Pinellas, Manatee, Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties, and we have seasoned agents in residential, luxury land, and commercial divisions. Reach out to us, your Christian realtors, and let us help empower you with the right knowledge to make smart decisions with your next transaction. Call us at 727-263-3707 today. Again, that number is 727-263-3707.
Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. You can reach me at 727-263-3707. Call or text 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here in studio, Consumer Quarterback Show. We're powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, top real estate team here in Tampa Bay. Helping you sell faster for more money, maximizing the exposure and the profit. Coming up, our feel-good story. Find out what happens when the police are called in Gainesville. Gainesville Police Department called on complaining kids. Find out what happens there coming up here in just a minute. Before we do, a couple of hot listings here. We always feature our real estate properties on air. Strategy helps us sell faster for more money. Maximum exposure on the sale of our real estate properties. We got some great listings here in Tampa Bay. Let's take a look at 140 92nd Avenue in Treasure Island. I really like this one. This is a great opportunity here in Tampa Bay. Pinellas County, you have two renovated cottages just about a block and a half from the beach, from the Gulf of Mexico, right there on 92nd Avenue in Treasure Island. Great opportunity. Hurricane strength storage sheds as well in the back. 140 92nd Avenue in Treasure Island. Beautiful listing. I like that property. I really like that one. And we also have bar for sale out in Plant City. This one's 5402 West US Highway 92, Plant City. Got a bar for sale out there. This has a COP license as well. It's one of those licenses where you can sell packaged liquor through the drive-thru. You can host parties as well and events. You can throw a party utilizing your liquor license there. 5402 West Highway 92, Plant City. The Finish Line Saloon is available for sale, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. 0.29 acre lot, 16 square feet. Have a bar for sale. Cash cow, I'm told by the seller. It's a cash cow. So you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Check out platinummvpteam.kw.com. You can see all of our listings online there. All right, feel good story of the day. Every day we like to tell you something positive here on the show.
Tell me something good.
All right, so someone called the cops complaining kids were playing basketball loudly in the street. The cops came by and said, it doesn't bother us, and they started playing basketball with them, and then more cops showed up, and then they said, guess what? Guess who comes out of the car? You have Shaquille O'Neal comes out and plays basketball with the kids. Can you imagine that being out in the streets there? Frank, you're playing ball in the streets as a kid, and then you have an NBA player come out and start playing hoops with you?
Well, I think it's great, and it's kind of an example of some people that overreact to some kids just playing, and, kids will be kids, and there's no harm being done.
Yeah, exactly.
Thankfully, they're playing basketball, not knocking mailboxes over with a baseball bat.
Yeah, exactly. They caught him on a good
Seriously.
day. Yeah, exactly. So Shaq comes out and plays basketball. That's kind of an oldie but goodie. I've seen that one floating around on social media over the years. But yeah, that's pretty cool, man. You got Alex. Any thoughts on that when you got Shaq coming out?
Yeah,
I'd let him dunk on me if he comes out like that.
You got no choice. He's going to dunk on you.
Yeah.
Well, you telling me that you thought he wouldn't?
Hey, I'm going to foul him hard though.
Yeah. Oh well.
I tell you what, though, I would challenge him to a free throw shooting contest
all day.
There you go.
All day.
Yeah.
Frank, you touched on something really great there about people forgetting that kids are going to be kids. I was in a store the other day and there was listen, I was annoyed by it too, but there was some kid. There was a small little girl and she kept messing with like these wind chimes. right?
Yeah.
And like people were getting annoyed, and the lady at the register was like, "Oh, somebody should go say something to that kid." And I was like, "Ma'am," I was like, "We've all done it. We all did that.
Yeah.
We all were pains in the you know what at some point messing with something that you should have put down."
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, "Don't ever forget what it was like to be a kid.
Right. Yeah.
Don't ever forget what it was like to be a kid. Be a little
Exactly.
now, if they, like you said, if they're smashing mailboxes, that's different. Now we need to hang out some spankings, you know."
Yeah.
But man, let kids be kids, man, because you're only a kid once, dude. You know?
Yeah. Same thing when you're on a flight. You know, you're on a flight. Sometimes the kid's crying. I mean, it's just their ears adjusting and things like that. You know, it happens. I think as a society, we need to be a little bit more forgiving sometimes.
Oh, no question about that.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Frank, so let's talk sports since we talked about Shaquille O'Neal. By the way, there's some great stories about Shaquille out there doing some really cool things for people. But you have your own sports agency now. That's got to be pretty cool, man. Pretty cool feeling, and you get to partner up with your son on that, Luke.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's called For Life Management, and we are NFL certified agents, and we've done it for 2 years now. And so we have 3 guys in the NFL. Eric Garror with the Tennessee Titans. He's a defensive back and punt returner, and hopefully he gets a shot at the new kickoff rule. So he might be a kickoff candidate for that team. We have Shedrick.
What's the rule? I didn't realize.
So they changed the rule. So the back in play now is the kick return. So everything was being kicked into the end zone.
Yeah, it was so boring at that time. Yeah.
Right. So now I think they've moved the ball further back, and they kind of made it more like the XFL, where the lines of scrimmage of the two, like the kickoff team is closer.
Closer, got it.
Than the kicker.
So less headaches. Or less
right, and I don't think they can start running until I think the ball's caught or something, or the ball's kicked. And
good rule
the
change.
blockers are all closer to the line of scrimmage where the ball's being kicked. It's not, there's no blockers closer to the receiver of the ball.
Right.
And so, and then there's some rule if the ball gets kicked between the 20 and the 5, I think you have to return it or something of that nature. I haven't really examined it, but the end result is we're going to see more kick returns,
more action. Yeah.
And so that's what they wanted to bring back in the game, and they tried to eliminate the full force running into the ball carrier.
Right.
So that's in play. Eric has a shot at doing that. He's also been shot for being a punt returner with the new coach in the Titans. And then we have back in town, actually came back to Tampa today, with Shedrick Jackson, who's a wide receiver, ran a 4.2 in the combine. Just an unbelievable athlete with,
what's his size?
With the Bengals. He's like 6'1". He's not small. He's 6'1", probably about 205, nothing but muscle.
Yeah.
And just a really great athlete. The Bengals are loaded at wide receiver, so hopefully he gets a shot this year. And then we have Akeem Dent, the Florida State safety with the Chargers. And all those guys just finished OTAs, and so they've been with their team for a month working out. They probably have anywhere from 2 to 3.5 weeks off before they go back for camp. And so, the message or what I've learned is this: if you're a really professional athlete that is into what you have, someone's always trying to take your job, and these guys are always working to get better.
Yeah.
There's never really off days.
Right.
Their off days are working out. And so they really earn their money because they're getting destroyed when they put the pads on, and they're getting destroyed in those games.
Yeah.
And, I tip my cap to these guys because not only is it a physically taxing job.
Yeah.
It is a mentally taxing job because the playbooks are astronomically large.
It's crazy.
Okay.
These guys are bigger, faster, stronger.
Oh.
They got the complexity now in the playbooks. It's a ton.
And when you're on the sideline, it's 10 times faster than TV.
Oh, absolutely. I was able to be on an NFL sideline one time. Final thought, though, we got to go back to you. How do you want people to connect with you, Frank?
You can look at my website at www.fcmlaw.com, or you can call the office at 813-254-2637.
All right, folks. Reach out to Frank Miranda's office. He's got a great team over there. Talk to Stephanie. Let her know the real estate quarterback sent you. FCMlaw.com. And we had Mark Haye, Frank Miranda on the program today. Good job, Frank. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Brandon.
And we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's...